Welcome back. Now, more than 190 households have been evacuated in a fire-threatened neighborhoods in Cape Town. Fire crews continue to monitor at least 5 active fire lines in the city's South Peninsula. Additional teams have been deployed from a garden route to help beat the mountain fires fanned by strong winds. Now, joining me now, I'd like to welcome an organization that is, of course, not just assisting many of the owners, but is very active within the Table Mountain National Park. It's Take Back Our Mountains. And joining me via Zoom, I'd like to welcome Taahir Dawood. Taahir, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and shukran so much for joining us.
Wa alaikum salam, Fraz. Thank you for having us on the show.
No, it's an absolute pleasure. I think, Taahir, the magnitude of these fires, I mean, it's quite large, isn't it? You look on social media, you look just from eyewitness accounts. It's not the first time this has happened, but it just seems to be really something that haunts the Table Mountain National Park.
Yes, that is correct. In actual fact, this has happened quite a few times, and the magnitude of the fire at the moment in time is quite massive. However, it's not something that cannot be handled, as the teams on the ground have been operating tirelessly, as well as the fire departments, as well as the aerial support that have been continuously, trying their utmost best to put out the fire on the mountain in Tokai and Silvermine and the surrounding areas.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite a lot of places, Okapseweg, Tokai, Silvermines, quite a lot of areas. I mean, when you look at Table Mountain, I mean, it stretches from obviously, right from Cape Point up until, the other parts or the southern parts of Cape Town. When dealing with this, I mean, I mean, your organization has quite a lot of experience in, hiking, many tours that happen there. It's quite a logistical nightmare for these firefighters, but, credit to them because they are really doing quite a job to make sure that whatever damage can be alleviated, they are there to make sure that happens.
Yes, that's correct. They are approximately over 250 firefighters on the ground, according to the report at the moment in time. And obviously, there are much more volunteers involved as well to ensure that they are assisting the firefighters as much as possible. Obviously, the reminders is that they, inform the public that they need to stay out of the firefighters' way so that they can consistently and continuously, contain the fire and eventually, obviously, subdue it completely. That's obviously the aim.
Yeah, Taahir, I mean, the importance of the public knowing not to go anywhere near Table Mountain. Of course, everyone knows the national park is the peak of the tourist attraction within Cape Town. So, I mean, the awareness is important. So how important is it that your organization Take Back Our Mountains, along with, of course, sand parks and various other stakeholders, really enforce this message? Because it would take a reckless and irresponsible person to say, well, we're going to try and do something within these fires, and he or she may end up losing their life.
Yes, so there have been reports of a firefighter being injured. That's one report that we've come across. Another report is where there have been cyclists in the surrounding areas where they should not have been, and the public should know that if you want to be in the vicinity, the best that you can do is just assist the firefighters, or even if you want to assist from a distance, that's even better. In actual fact, the public should stay far away. I know that it is, sometimes, based on keen interest that people want to go near so that they can see what it's like up close and personal. But that's not something which they should actually do.
Taahir, in terms of the hit from a tourism perspective, I know, again, I'm going to reiterate that the organization helps with a lot of tours, hiking. I mean, this has hurt this part of the tourism, hasn't it? Because it's quite a large chunk of the economy, especially for the city of Cape Town. How much has that really hit this? Because when you see these fires happening in Table Mountain, automatically everything with regards to that takes a shot. So talk to us about that.
So what happens is that, once the all majority of the paths, especially in the particular region where the fire is currently raging at the moment, all of those paths are closed, which means that tourism needs to actually stop for that particular sections. At the same time, we encourage our tourists to actually go to or try different places further out, so that they don't actually miss out on the beauty within within the city. But obviously we advise all of our tourists and all of our locals as well, just to, if you need to be out, then just make sure that you are in a safer environment, far away from, being close to the region of the fire at the moment in time.
Taahir, 190 households, I mean, that's quite a lot. Talk to us about just how much of devastation has occurred within these various parts to have households, of course, being affected. Many of them historically or even as recently have built houses within the mountains. So when we look at that, that really does take quite a large chunk of not just where they were living, but also the fact that there's infrastructural damage within those parts where the fire occurred.
So many of the residents or members of the community had to be evacuated, and this was on Sunday as a precaution. Quite a few of them have been allowed back, to their homes, so that they can obviously be comfortable again. But it is such that there are still many areas such as Silver Mine, Tukai, Boys Drive. They the infrastructure, there hasn't been damage to the homes particularly, but according to the report, it is at least 3,000 hectares of the Table Mountain National Park that has been affected.
Yeah, 3,000 hectares. I mean, I was there in 2023, 24 for a vacation, and I drove past on the way from Cape Town, taking, of course, the route into Hout Bay, and you could just see the devastation that occurred. I think it was fires that happened in early 2023. Yeah. It's going to take a long time. I mean, I'm not a fauna or flora expert. Maybe you can speak on that, Taahir, but it's going to take a long time for there to be a lot of regrowth in the nature or the natural aspect of Table Mountain. Of course, Cape Town's going to be getting its yearly rain. That's going to be coming in its winter. I mean, that may just be some sort of relief to this happening. But the damage itself, it's going to take quite a long time, isn't it?
Yeah. So even though the Fynbos region, or we being fortunate enough where Fynbos requires fires in order to actually consistently grow, the truth is that it only requires it between 8 to 12 years. Right. However, the fires have been occurring much more frequently than actually anticipated or even expected. So it will take some time for the regrowth to take place. And we hope that, with the weather, our winter season coming in, we won't have, any issues. And over the next couple of years as well, we hope that we can avoid these situations as best as possible.
Taahir, shukran so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. Look after yourself. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Shukran. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
That's Taahir Dawood from the organization Take Back Our Mountains. I don't know if you saw, but Mu'taz Azazia was actually taking some photographs of the fires that were happening. Of course, everyone remembers him. He covered the early parts of the genocide that is currently happening in Gaza. So, of course, good to see him here in the country. But our prayers and our thoughts go out to the people affected by this. It's a Table Mountain National Park, an absolute beauty of a place. And I think the last thing we want to see is the beauty of our country being destroyed. So, strength to the firefighters and strength to all of those that are trying to make sure that this fire is alleviated. Well, we're going to stay in Cape Town, from Table Mountain to the beautiful oceans. Of course, last week I had an interview with Dr. Karen Daniels. They were going to swim from Robben Island to Blouberg Strand. They completed it. So we're going to ask her about their achievements. Do stay tuned.